So to start, this is not financial advice. The stock market may drop further, but let's watch liberals totally freak out about the recent stock market drop. Ridiculous, some of these takes.
You take a look right here, this from the Wall Street Journal about the stock market today. The NASDAQ falls about 4% after Donald Trump doesn't rule out a recession. Other headlines like this: Wall Street sell-off. The Dow is down almost 900 points. Consumer confidence is now sinking as well. And the percentage of Americans who feel that...
A lot of the people covering this, it looks like they started watching the stock market 1 week ago. This just happens, man. The stock market goes like this. It does not move. I mean, I'll pull up a chart in a second here, but amateur hour, a lot of these takes on the stock market.
Things will be worse in 12 months is now surging. Donald Trump took a Goldilocks economy that was handed to him by former President Biden, what the Wall Street Journal once called an economy that was...
No way. The stock market was doing well, but the stock market is not exactly correlated with the economy. They are correlated, but not exactly. Yes, the stock market did well under Biden, but go to the grocery store. Inflation, like, again, I'll show a chart in a second here. Real median wages under Trump first term were up. Under Biden, they were pretty flat. So yes, the stock market was up and wages were up, but so was inflation. But we'll continue.
Was the envy of the world under a Goldilocks economy that was handed to him by former President Biden, what the Wall Street Journal once called an economy that was the envy of the world under former President Biden, and Donald Trump just crashed it into the ground.
Look, that's an incredibly ridiculous statement. You took it and crashed it into the ground. The S&P's down between like 8 and 9% roughly. It's still, the American economy is still the envy of the world. Just because the stock market, which is the valuation of American companies, it's not the real economy. Just because it dips 8 or 9%, it doesn't make America not the envy of the world anymore. We'll check out another large left-wing creator here. This is Brian Tyler Cohen.
If the market crashing today wasn't already bad enough, the way that even Fox News seems to be wholly disinterested in running cover for Trump here really is the nail in the coffin.
And if you have different people in the administration giving different messages, I mean, the Commerce Secretary and the president are having different messages on the same day. That's not giving the market any sort of ease or certainty for investors. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have an even...
Look, again, the common worker does not, their life does not change that much with short-term stock movements. This stuff matters in the long term, but I mean, I don't think we want to get to a place where we're all just following the market every little day, just become schizophrenic weirdos. I mean, the Trump derangement syndrome stuff, it happens enough not looking at the stock market. Now they're going to be following the stock market every single day. Oh no, oh yes.
Greater crash.
We should let Jonathan keep talking because the market's come back 50 points.
There you go. There you go.
But obviously, the Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Donald Trump took office.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
The Dow is 1,500 points below where it was when Trump took office. That is not a good look. Doesn't get much clearer than that.
Doesn't get much it's not that much of a condemnation of it. Not a good look based on one index, the Dow. And by the way, I'll pull this chart up here. So this is the Dow Jones Index. I usually look at the S&P, but they brought up the Dow, so whatever. November 5th, this is when Trump was inaugurated, or not inaugurated, Trump was elected. 42,211. What was that? 42,221. Today, 41,911. So from the time he was elected, basically flat. And like when an incoming president's coming in, I think Trump gets for sure some of the credit, if you want to do it like this, of some of the stock market bump. Like, for example, look at the day he was elected. Look at November 6th. Look how much it went up. I don't know the exact percentage gain there if you're very good at math, but pretty substantial just because it looked at this moment, at least the markets were excited for Trump coming in. So where is it fair to base him on? Do you base him off before the election or what? Do you base it off January 20th when he was inaugurated? I mean, that can be like a debate for another time, but, and even still, like, again, like I'll do this right now because I just have you here. Look at this chart. You could pick any time period in history, man. it goes schizophrenic. It moves like this. Like, look at this period here. August 19th, 2022. 33,000, the Dow. Not that far after, about a month later, just over, 28,000. Was the world like, what is everyone supposed to do there? Panic? Just everyone starts running around with their chicken with their head cut off? This was during Biden's term. It just goes like this. And look, right back up. And again, like, I want to be clear, the market may go down even more from here, but it's just, if we're going to do this, every time the market goes up or down during Trump's presidency, we're going to be talking about the stock market a lot for the next 4 years.
Not only has Trump wiped away any potential gains that he may have notched in the Dow during his presidency, but he's wiped away all gains over the last 4 months. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 are even more grim, wiping away all gains over the last 6 months. And this is the guy who...
Look, I want to be clear. I'm doing this like it matters because people's retirement accounts, it does drop the value. It's just, it's the way the market works. It's a market system. People buying a lot of the price of these companies, it's based on the demand. So like large institutional investors or whatever play with their money. They move it into here. They move it out of here. They move it into bonds. They move it overseas for a minute. They move it into cash. Then they come back in. Like, it's so good. There's a lot to it. I don't think you want to be someone like they're doing in this video in very up close following the stock market like they are.
Lower costs on day one. And this wasn't even just a fluke on Fox either. Here's another Fox entity, Fox Business, on which you can normally find Larry Kudlow doing his best North Korean lady impression in his groveling sycophancy for Trump, and yet this is what the coverage on even that network looked like today.
What started as an ugly day on Wall Street has turned downright hideous. Broad-based selling across the board, and you could call it a sinkhole that's opened up under the NASDAQ with 59 minutes left to trade. The tech have...
What are they supposed to say? Because Donald Trump's in office, they're supposed to say, nobody look at the stock market today.
Here, Apple down 5.7%. And then you can see NVIDIA, it is the biggest laggard here, down nearly 6%. But don't ignore the fact that Goldman Sachs is getting absolutely crushed here, down 5.9%. All of the big financials, American Express down 5.5%. JP Morgan down also more than 5%. But the Dow, it's stuck in the mud.
And that's the friendly coverage, in case you were curious about the state of our economy right now. And look, let's not pretend...
That's not the economy. That's the price of Goldman Sachs and Apple, the price of those stocks. That is not the economy. I would not frame it the way he just did there. I mean, like, maybe he's referencing something earlier in the clip, but I certainly would not frame it the way he did. Okay, so I've shown this chart before on this channel. I would 100% argue that this matters way more than the stock market. In fact, did you know the stock market, the top 10% of Americans own 93% of the stock market. So this means, again, I would argue way more. This is real median weekly earnings. So inflation-adjusted earnings for median. So like the average worker, age 16 and over, this is Trump's term, 2016. So we'll go Q4. It actually went up and to the right for the most part. Again, not exactly, but pretty up and to the right. Look at it. Look at it since 1980. Just pretty flat. And then you get to Trump's term, and it starts to tick up. I mean, this, I would just again argue that, like, look at how much it went up. Do you see another period in this? Like maybe this period between like Q4 97 to whenever, I guess that would have been Clinton. Then look at Biden. So, I mean, COVID was such a mess. It's kind of hard to say, but for the most part, Biden, pretty flat. The last blip would have been not bad. This last little run, but I mean, you take COVID into it, still, like, compared to Trump's, pretty up and to the right in a pretty 45-degree angle way. That just means, this means, again, I would argue this any day of the week, means so much more to the average person than how the stock market is. This is, how is the median average worker in your society, how are their earnings, and how are their earnings relative to inflation? The issue with the Biden economy was, yes, wages were up, stock market was up, but so was inflation. During the Trump term, version number 1, wages were up, stocks were up, inflation was low, under 2% on average. So with that said, I'll finish the video here, but again, not financial advice at all. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.